Hey everyone, and welcome to AMC Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm Chrisley Kennedy, and this is the show that brings you all the day's biggest movie news with insight into what it all means. Joining me, as always, is AMC Movie News Senior Editor, John Kempia.
Tally ho, everybody. Hey, how you doing, Chrisley?
Good. Good to have you.
Thank you.
And also joining us is Steve Frosty Weintraub from Collider.com. Hey, Steve.
How you guys doing today?
Excellent.
Today, we are going to get things started with this. As we reported yesterday, Disney has confirmed that they and their company, Lucasfilm, are going to be producing several Star Wars standalone films, as well as the new trilogy of episodes 7, 8, and 9, which will start in the summer of 2015. On the heels of that announcement, the magazine Entertainment Weekly is reporting that they've discovered the first two standalone Star Wars movies will be about Han Solo. Set sometime between the events of Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, and original Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. The second film would focus on the bounty hunter, Boba Fett. Set sometime between Episode 4, A New Hope, and Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. Steve, let's start this with you. Assuming the validity of this report, are you good with Han Solo and Boba Fett movies?
Absolutely not. I might be in the minority, but I'm completely against providing more backstory to characters that we have seen in the original trilogy. I think that any spin-off movie should focus on new characters and new places and expanding the Star Wars universe to areas that we have not seen. I do think, though, that we should asterisk all this by saying after all these announcements came out, reports basically said that Disney is spinning the wheels right now in terms of talking about every possibility for a spin-off movie. You know, whether it be Yoda, whether it be Emperor Palpatine, whether it be anybody. But as I said earlier, I really am against spin-off movies involving characters we've already seen.
Steve is both wise and shrewd. Yeah, no, I don't like this idea at all. I've said this before on the show. I will say it again. It is time for Star Wars to get away from the prequel nonsense. We've got enough stuff behind. The beauty of Star Wars and its universe is the vastness of it. There is so much there to explore. It's time to move forward and not backwards. Now, look, I would have been okay with the idea of a Boba Fett movie under the assumption in some of the graphic novels that suggest that Boba Fett actually escaped from the Sarlacc pit in Return of the Jedi, and it's a new film moving forward after Return of the Jedi with Boba Fett. Okay, I'd be okay with that. But as much as I love Han Solo, as much as I love Boba Fett, I am done with prequels. Please just move forward. It's coming from Entertainment Weekly, so, I mean, that's a fairly reliable source, but I really hope it's not true.
Yeah, I'm going to actually do a follow-up here. I'm telling you, John, they're pitching at the studio all these possibilities. I'm going to tell you what my idea is, and you tell me if you're down with it.
All right.
I think episodes 7, 8, and 9, I'm totally in favor of. I think what they really should do is, and mind you, this is just an opinion, I think they should do episode 7, and then have in between the 7 and 8, which is going to be a 2 to 3 year gap, most likely a 3-year gap. I think they fill it with Star Wars spin-off movies. So you have episode 7 in 2015 and episode 8 in 2018. So 2016 and 17, you have spin-off movies. In an awesome world, you would have these spin-offs focusing on characters that are maybe playing a small part of episode 8. So you're getting backstory about events that may, provide backstory for episode 8. So you can focus on these characters that maybe would be in just one scene, but all of a sudden you know a lot more about them. This is, again, just an idea, but it still goes back to what we both agree on, which is new characters, new places.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love a very loose Marvel format where you're creating a cohesive universe, not all on one story, but at least having them tie together some way. I love the idea. So sign me up.
It's like they're afraid to move forward.
Yeah.
All right. Movie adaptations of the popular video games HalfLife and Portal may be on the way. Valve's managing director, Gabe Newell, joined filmmaker J.J. Abrams on stage at today's DICE Summit, and the pair hinted that a creative team-up is underway. There's an idea we have for a game that we'd like to work with Valve on, said Abrams. We're super excited about that, Newell responded. And we also want to talk about making movies, either a Portal movie or a Half-Life movie. What we are actually doing here, We are recapitulating a series of conversations going on. We reached the point that we decided to do more than talk. John, do you actually think J.J. Abrams could be directing a Portal or Half-Life movie sometime soon?
To quote the famous song from the World Wrestling Entertainment world, no chance in hell. No, it's not going to happen. I do believe J.J. Abrams could play a part in bringing something like this to the big screen. Half-Life is a very popular game. Portal is a very popular game with absolutely no narrative to it, so I don't know how you make a movie out of that. But so I could see it happening, and I could see J.J. Abrams using Bad Robot as a production arm to maybe do something, but I don't think there's any chance at all that we'll see J.J. Abrams with the schedule that he's got. He still wants to produce the Star Trek movies somehow, some way. We don't know how involved he's going to be with Star Wars going beyond just Star Wars Episode 7, but I just cannot see this happening. Steve, what about you? What do you think?
There is a 0% chance that J.J. Abrams directs either film, but as you just said, I think what Valve is doing is they see what Bad Robot can do. They see the production quality that they put out with their TV shows, whether it be Person of Interest, whether it be Fringe, and the movies they put out, which are generally pretty good. And I think they're saying, we want to partner with this team, and even if they're just producing it, they're going to help us make something solid. And I do think that the concept of Portal, even though there's not a narrative structure there yet, I think it's all about the gun.
Yeah.
I think that it's very easy to create a universe where that gun exists and, put a story together involving Bad Robot. But I think that the Valve managing director, Gabe Newell, is really smart for partnering up with Bad Robot. And I think J.J. Abrams, while he'll be very busy, could easily devote a few minutes to producing.
Yeah, I agree. Well, listen, folks, it is the time of the show for us to do the new segment, Buy or Sell, the segment I blatantly ripped off from ESPN's Around the Horn. Apologies to ESPN. In this segment, Chris Lee is going to run down a few other big stories in the world of movie news, and then Steve and I are going to say whether we buy it or sell it. So, Chris Lee, what do we got?
As you know, the highly anticipated film Star Trek Into Darkness opens in AMC theaters everywhere on May 15th. And now Entertainment Weekly has released these two upcoming covers for their magazine, showing Kirk and Spock, and the other Kirk and Benedict Cumberbatch character. Steve, buying or selling these images?
I'm buying these images, and I wish I could give them my money right now.
Yeah, I'm going to buy these too. This reminds me of leading up to the prequels for Star Wars, where you could put a picture of George Lucas rubbing his ass with fistfuls of $100 bills, and I still would have bought it. And we're all excited about Star Trek, so yeah, I'm going to buy it too.
Okay. The next installment of the Die Hard franchise, A Good Day to Die Hard, opens in AMC theaters everywhere next week on February 14th. In a recent interview, actor Bruce Willis claims that there are indeed more Die Hard movies coming along. John, buy or sell the idea of a Die Hard 6?
I'm actually going to sell it. As much as I'm looking forward to this new Die Hard film, and I'm glad that it's coming, and I like Bruce Willis very much, I think it's time to put that one to bed. So for me, I'm going to sell it.
I'm going to agree with you on this one. I think that the only way I would be willing to take a Die Hard 6 would be if they go out with a huge, awesome script and they say, this is the last one and we're going to make it as good as the first one and it'll be a great, beginning and ending. So, but yeah, I'm selling.
Zombie Hans Gruber. Do Zombie Hans Gruber and I'm up for Die Hard 6.
Right.
There we go.
That's fun.
All right, the king of all monsters, Godzilla, is stomping his way back into theaters next summer. And today, there are reports that actors Bryan Cranston, best known for his leading role on TV's Breaking Bad, and Elizabeth Olsen from 2011's Silent House and Martha Marcy May Marlene are in talks to join the film. Steve, buy or sell Cranston and Olsen in a Godzilla movie?
I am buying this. I think that Bryan Cranston could sell ice Eskimos. He's amazing. I'm in. Whatever he wants to do, I'm there opening day.
I'm going to sell this. And the reason I'm going to sell is because I love Cranston so much. I would like to see him focus on doing some heavy dramatic pieces for me. So look, am I absolutely going to see Godzilla with Cranston and Olsen in it? Yeah, darn right I'm going to be there, but I'm going to sell it because, like I said, I'd rather see him focus some of his new energy on the dramatic. So that's me.
Okay. The Amazing Spider-Man director Mark Webb has caused a bit of a stir when he tweeted out this picture from the set of The Amazing Spider-Man 2 with the mysterious hashtag Happy Birthday. It's being speculated online that the image is a replication of this image from the Spider-Man comic book in which Peter Parker and Eddie Brock find the Venom formula experiment, which leads to the popular Spider-Man villain Venom. and that the happy birthday hashtag is a reference to this month being the 25th anniversary of Venom. John, buy or sell that Mark Webb is hinting at Venom arriving sometime soon?
I buy it. And the reason that I buy that, because if it's true, and this is what he's doing with Venom, I like that he's not just treating each individual movie as its own isolated thing, but he's actually laying groundwork for future films. That's the one thing I hate about the Transformers, that they never did anything like that. Well, amongst other things I hate about Transformers. But so I love this idea. I hope they're doing it for Spider-Man 3, so I buy it.
I'm on the fence on this one. I'm going to say sell. I'm going to say that Venom is not in the movie right now because I actually have no idea. I think that he's just teasing fans right now, and that but I'm not 100% on this one. I think this could go either way.
All right.
Death of a President director Gabriel Range has signed on to direct Lust for Life, a biopic that follows the creative partnership of music icons David Bowie and Iggy Pop and their 1970s glam rock revolution. Steve, buy or sell a Bowie-Iggy Pop biopic?
I buy. I would love to see something like this if they do it right, but the problem is that a lot of these movies, you have to boil it all down to a 2-hour picture. And, sometimes it's just, vanilla ice cream. I would love to see, an R-rated real look at what was going on at that time. But more and more, I'm interested in seeing something like this on TV, which can explore it with, 3-4 hours rather than 2. But I'll buy it for now.
I'm going to sell this one. I have a very unpopular opinion that I really don't find biopics about musicians very interesting. I'm far more interested in biopics about people who actually, do things and actually change the world.
Wow.
And I'd be down for a biopic for maybe a guy like, I don't know, like a U2's Bono, who actually goes out, tries to fight the AIDS epidemic, tries to fight childhood hunger, tries to change the world, all that kind of, I could get that, but generally speaking, I'm not really big on biopics for musicians.
But don't you agree that more and more these biopics should be done on TV where you can devote real time to some of the issues? Because as it is now, when you're doing a biopic, you're basically spending 5 minutes on a huge event, and then you have to move on to something else. I think that more and more of these should be done on TV.
I think it all depends on look, are you looking at a biopic like Walk the Line that is like the life story of Johnny Cash? Yeah, I agree with you. But increasingly, we see some biopics being produced now that are biopics about certain segments of somebody's life. For instance, we've heard that, oh gosh, the screenwriter, why am I forgetting his name? The screenwriter for The Social Network. Sorkin, thank you. Sorkin's Steve Jobs biopic is said to really focus on it's supposed to have like 3 scenes where just the pre-events behind the stage before Steve Jobs announced the iMac, the iPhone, and the iPad. So if you're looking at small segments of their life, then I can see that being movies. But yeah, I agree with Steve that if you're going to look at a whole life, it'd be interesting to have that as a miniseries.
I think that Sorkin nailed it in terms of how he's going to do that Jobs thing, but let's move on.
It is time for us to bring back what you guys, by popular demand, have asked for, which is the mailbag. Every day we take out one question and address the question you guys send, but because you guys are sending so many, today we're going to do 3. So Chris Lee's got a few of them pulled out. So Chris Lee, what do we got in the mailbag?
Bradley Alonzo writes, "Hi, I've been watching your show for a while and I love hearing movie news. What do you think of first person or found footage movies? For example, the movies Chronicle, The Last Exorcism, Project X, End of Watch, and Paranormal Activity. I personally enjoy these types of movies. They seem more exciting. What do you guys think?"
I think, there are some of these movies I enjoy. I enjoy Project X. I enjoyed the first Paranormal Activity, but I don't, in general, enjoy the style. To me, the style has only really worked in 2 films. That was Chronicle and what was the other one I listed? The first Blair Witch Project.
Yeah.
I think the style worked very well for those 2 particular films. The other films, some of them I like, but I would have preferred a different style personally. Steve, what about you?
This is one of those things where when it's done right, it's great, but inevitably every movie for found footage at the beginning has to explain why they're doing a found footage movie, whether it be a character saying they're doing a documentary, or the problem is eventually it just feels unbelievable that a character or a situation would have a camera out at that moment.
Good point.
Because they'd be fearful for their lives. Like in the middle of a huge explosion, you're not holding your camera trying to get it. You're running for safety, trying to get away. And it makes it unbelievable that people are doing it. But I do think Chronicle did it great. I really loved End of Watch. And I think that when it's done right, it's great. But it really needs to be done great. And unfortunately, a lot of them are not.
Great point.
Oscar Jonas writes, "Hi guys, found you on YouTube about a month ago and now I tune in every day. Do you think that the post-Avengers 2, Disney will take out their checkbook and buy back Spider-Man?"
No, there's no chance. There's no chance. And the reason, now, would Marvel like to have Spider-Man back? Absolutely. They wish they could go back to that time when Marvel was actually really strapped for cash and selling off the movie rights to their characters. But the fact of the matter is, The Amazing Spider-Man made over $750 million at the box office, which means minimum, if Disney went to Marvel or Disney went to Sony and said, we'd like to buy back the rights to Spider-Man, sure, write me a check for $3.5 billion. Yeah. And I'm not being facetious. It will be in the neighborhood of $3.5 billion. And even Disney can't pull out a check and just write one for $3.5 billion. Steve, am I wrong or am I missing something here?
Well, you opened up the door on a few things. The first is I agree with your statement that Marvel will never get back Spider-Man, because I believe the contract stipulates that as long as the project is in active development or movies are being made, then they hold the rights.
Absolutely.
And
yes.
Sony is going to continue making these movies because they make a lot of money. Saying that, I think that if Marvel wanted to buy back the rights to Spider-Man, Sony might be willing to sell it. And I don't think it would be $3.5 billion. But I think if Marvel went to Sony and said, we're going to give you $1 billion, we want to get back the rights to Spider-Man, we'll give you a percentage of all Spider-Man future movies that he's featured in by like 5% or 10%. You know, the studio might be willing to do something like that because it's a huge chunk of change and it's guaranteed revenue on all future projects. I'm sure they can work something out, but unless it's a huge amount of money, there is no way Marvel is getting back the rights.
All right.
Joseph P. writes in and says, "Hey guys, love the show. Look out for it every day. I'm a huge Disney fan, and it bothers me that Disney is now acquiring different companies like Lucasfilm and Marvel. It seems like Disney is becoming a company that goes out and acquires different companies so that they can take a hold of it, and it's driving me mad. From what I remember, Disney was a company that was more independent and original, and it seems like they've lost their originality. Am I nuts? What do you guys think?"
You're nuts. I mean, first of all, thank you very much for the question, by the way. But yes, so you're nuts. And here's the reason why. Look, the Disney company in the 1960s looked different than the company in the 70s and had different personnel. So they brought in new people, whether it's by hiring, recruiting, or purchasing other companies. So really, you can't just say now they're not original, now they are. But look at some of the 2012. I put up some films here from 2012 from Disney. Frankenweenie, John Carter, which I think Steve agrees with me, was a really underappreciated film. I love John Carter. The Odd Life of Timothy Green, which not a lot of people saw, but I thought it was a very special film. Wreck-It Ralph, Brave. I mean, this company does really great things. And you forgot to mention that they acquired Pixar. And Pixar has just gone on to become the best movie studio in the world, making quality film after quality film. Let's not talk about Cars 2 or maybe Brave. But I think they have continued to, they acquire these companies, then they make them do great films like they have with Marvel, and I think they will with Lucasfilm, at least my fingers are crossed. So I believe they are original, and I think acquiring a company is no different than running out and hiring some other great talent away from another company. So I still think it has its originality. Steve, what about you?
I think that Disney acquiring these companies is great for fans because it allows, there's a lot of money and there's a lot of synergy between the companies. But more than all of this, I think that people realize something incredibly important. Disney acquired Pixar, Disney acquired Marvel, and they got Lucasfilm. Each of these companies is being run as an individual entity,
yes,
under the banner of Disney. So Pixar makes their own movies. Marvel makes their own movies with a very small executive group making all the decisions, and Lucasfilm is going to be making all their own decisions under Kathleen Kennedy. Obviously, she's going to run it up the food chain to Disney, saying, here's our plan, and there's going to be, because of the money on the line, they're going to have huge meetings, but she's ultimately going to be making a lot of these big decisions herself with a team of people. And I think that Disney is just the people that are going to be promoting it, putting it in the theme parks, selling merchandise, and making sure that everything can be monetized to the maximum ability. But these companies are going to be, that's ultimately what this is about, is selling toys and, having the characters in theme parks and selling t-shirts. But hopefully we get quality films that can also be sold to, little kids' lunchboxes or whatever it might be. But I'm personally totally on board Disney acquiring Lucasfilm. I think it's a phenomenal place for it to be. and I think that the Star Wars movies are going to be great.
Well, listen, folks, we've run out of time, but listen, stop what you're doing while I've got you. Take a second and click that subscribe button. Subscribe to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. It'll keep you up to date on everything going on in the world of movie news, our editorials, and of course, our daily AMC Movie Talk show with great guests like Steve Frosty Weintraub from Collider.com. Listen, if you want an audio-only version of this show, look into the show description below. You see links to find us on iTunes and on Stitcher Radio if you want to listen to us on your commute to work or while you're at work or wherever. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/AMC Theaters. Like us on Facebook. Almost 4 million people already have at facebook.com/AMC Theaters. And once again, click that subscribe button. I want to thank our very special guest today, editor-in-chief over at the great Collider.com, Mr. Steve Weintraub. Steve, thanks so much.
Thank you for having me on the show today.
And thank you to our lovely host, who is going to be a presenter, apparently, a trophy person at the Final Draft Awards tonight.
Woohoo.
Crystal Kennedy. Crystal, thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.
And thanks to you guys. Listen, folks, once again, the most important part of the show is not what we have to say, it's what you have to say. Jump down to the comments section and leave us your thoughts on any or all of these topics. And if you want your question asked on the mailbag segment, email us at amcmovietalk@gmail.com, and we'll do our best to get your question put on air. Again, folks, thanks so much for joining us. Until tomorrow, my name's John Campea for AMC Movie News. Bye-bye.